Hey friends, do you know the first sin of the Bible is not Eve disobeying God? In fact, the first sin is about Satan coming with a lie to Eve and telling that when God said that you will die if you eat of the fruit, that is not true. He told that you will not die. And that lie has been continuing in different forms and varieties against what God said. And we have that kind of lie we are countering at this point in time in the form of a book, and that book is called the Quran. Friends, there is a distinct advantage for us over Eve. She did not know the history, she did not have scientific evidences, she was fresh out of the creation. All that she had was one commandment from God that you shall not eat of this particular tree, and the rest you can do as you wish. That was the freedom that God gave Adam and Eve. And when Satan came and lied to her that this tree is kind of good for you to eat and you will become like gods, she believed. But we don't have to really believe any of those lies of Islam. Islam is a modern representation of what Satan does. It gives all kinds of distorted figures and distorted facts, which Muslims kind of, gobble it up and do not even question whether it is right or wrong. When they said that the history, it has a historical base with a lot of distorted facts, we can just check the Quran and say that, okay, this is blunders after blunders after blunders. For example, who is the uncle of Jesus? They say it's Aaron and Moses. They just assume that the Quran is right when it says that Mary was the brother of Aaron. We all know that is not the fact. And there are a lot of other historical blunders. And just like scientific facts, where Dulkarnain went long, far away and found that the sun sets in some muddy pool of water, or the stars are shooting at the devils, and all kinds of fictional and mythological stories which is inserted into the Quran. And poor Muslims, they believe it, guys. They believe it. But we have one more point where we can ascertain whether certain things are from God or from the devil. And that is where I don't go much after the scientific proofs, because some things can be allegorical, and that's how Muslims kind of give their acrobatics. But then prophecy is something which you cannot miss out. If a prophet is not 100% correct every time, he is a false prophet. He can give even 99 correct prophecies, and one missed prophecy makes him a false prophet. But Muhammad is the other way around, man. I don't know of Muhammad having prophesied anything really true. But then listen to this particular gentleman from Towards Eternity. I think he's a Turkish guy, and he just blurts out lies after lies after lies in the name of Islam, and there are people who is just clapping to him. Listen to his the speech where he is proving how Quran is a magnificent book where the prophecies are confirmed after many years. Listen to this and then we will continue.
Can a book go beyond the boundaries of time and tell exactly what's going to happen in the future that seemed impossible? Knowing the future has been one of the things that has interested us the most throughout history, right? Today, we'll witness the miraculousness of the Quran in this matter. Centuries ago, the news about the future that the Quran gave at the most unexpected moments was going to turn all balances upside down. The Quran would shock everyone. One is witnessed by two different cities, and the other by two great empires. If you're ready to hear the prophetic miracles of the Quran in two critical historical events, let's begin. The year is 603. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is about 32 years old, but has not yet been given prophethood. In that year, two superpowers of that time are having a conflict. The Sassanids wage war against the Byzantines and achieve great victories. As a result of this, the Byzantine Empire experiences an unprecedented decline in its history. They lost many of their lands. Today's Armenia, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and all of Anatolia are being occupied. Finally, the Sassanids gathered their armies up to the borders of Istanbul, their capital. In the same period, Avars and Slavs also besieged Istanbul. For many years, the Byzantine Empire goes through serious and multiple defeats. In 616, news of these events come and spread through Mecca, and the idol worshippers in the area celebrated. It's the 6th year into the revelation. But what was it that made them so happy? Since the Byzantines were Christian, which is an Abrahamic religion, this made them seem closer to Muslims in terms of faith. On the other hand, the Sassanids were Zoroastrians, which was a closer belief to the idol worshippers of Mecca. Because of this similarity with the Sassanids, they felt a connection with them.
Let me interject you. You have said that the war between the Byzantine and the Sassanid dynasty was in 616 AD. No, sir. The war began in 602 AD and it ended with the Byzantines losing it in 612 AD. Historical correction number one. Secondly, you said that the Byzantine are basically a Christian country and the Sassanids were a Zoroastrian country. You need to be corrected. Byzantine were of the Orthodox faction of the Christianity, and the Sassanids were also as much Christian as the Byzantines. They were mostly the Syrian Nestorian group. To assume that it was totally a Zoroastrian area is wrong. Yes, Zoroastrians were there. In fact, the king Khosrow too, who was the king at that time, he was just part Zoroastrian. The rest were Christians. His wife Shirin was a Christian. His another wife Maria, who was the daughter of the prince or some high nobility, was from Byzantine. In fact, the Tang dynasty of China said that the Persian religion is Christianity. Have you noticed that? Sassanids, basically, they are Persian kingdom. They were Christian religion. Zoroastrians were there. Zoroastrians has a problem. The problem is that the moment they intermarry with non-Zoroastrian, that person is no more a Zoroastrian. And that is how Khosrow, though he might have been born as a Zoroastrian for whatever reason, he was no more a Zoroastrian because the religion is so exclusivistic that if you marry within Zoroastrian, you can continue as a Zoroastrian, and if you marry outside of that religion, you are no more a Zoroastrian. You are kind of officially excommunicated by that religion. But being a king, it's nobody has the guts to openly proclaim and say that you are excommunicated. But then that is a fact of the history. There is a big industrialist in India by name Tata. Tata is a big business conglomerate. They own the Tata Steel, the Tata Consultancy Services, and the Jaguar, Land Rover, Tata Motors, and the big companies they have. And Tata happens to be a Zoroastrian. He cannot go ahead and marry somebody else and assume that he is continuing to be a Zoroastrian. No, that is how it works, my friend. So let's continue with your next portion.
And wanted to humiliate our Prophet ﷺ. They say, just as the Sassanids defeated the people of the book, we will defeat you as well. In other words, they are pleased with what's happening. They are laughing. They are trying to make fun of it. But they are completely unaware of what they are about to hear. Finally, the first 5 verses of Surah Ar-Rum are revealed, which brings news that would turn their laughter into shock. Estaizu billah, bismillah, Elif Lam Mim. The Romans have been defeated in a nearby land. Yet, following their defeat, they will triumph within 3 to 9 years. The whole matter rests with Allah before and after victory. And on that day, the believers will rejoice at the victory willed by Allah. He gives victory to whoever He wills, for He is the Almighty, most merciful. Imagine living in that era. You see the Sassanids continuously defeat the Byzantines for over 10 years. They conquered Armenia, Syria, Iraq, Egypt, and all of Anatolia. While the Byzantine Empire was suffering unprecedented and catastrophic losses, it would be impossible for you to think that they would become victorious in such a short time, right? But the ayah very clearly states this. The Sassanids are winning, but in a certain time, the Byzantines, also known as the Romans, will become victorious. There's a very strange atmosphere. Everyone is wondering how this could happen.
Oops, how this could happen? Oh, see the way he is telling the story as if you are just with rapt attention hearing this whole thing, which some Muslims think this is a true thing. Well, hold on. The final prick is coming. Let him enter more gas into the balloon which he is building up, and with just one prick, and that prick will be from the hadith, a Sahih hadith from their own books, which will burst the balloon which he is building now. Hold on.
As the events are going on, Heraclius, the governor of Africa of the Byzantine Empire, takes the throne with a coup. And as soon as he comes into power, he writes letters to the Sassanid king begging him to stop the war. We still have these letters today. However, since the Sassanids are winning, they do not accept this offer. When this attempt fails and Emperor Heraclius gets rejected, he tries to flee to Africa with his gold, but gets caught. What will happen next? Will the course of events change? Remember what the ayah said? It said, Bid'a sinin. In Arabic, this phrase means a few years, which refers to a period of 3 to 9 years. After the ayah is revealed, the defeat of the Byzantines still continues. The mushrikun who hear the verse are very confident that this can never happen. But there's something they don't know. Kun fayakun. Allah says be, and it is. This is how the system works in Islam. It doesn't matter how much power anyone has. Therefore, the companions of the Prophet who heard this verse are also very confident. A few years pass without any change. But then finally, Heraclius starts a campaign in 622. His previous state of mind is completely gone now, and it's as if another person has taken his place. English historian Edward Gibbon describes it like this: such a change in character is not something that has many examples in history. Did Allah make a promise? Yes, He did. Then that promise will surely be fulfilled. That's the only reason for this change. Do you realize something here? Even the emperor didn't think that his empire would survive. But under those circumstances, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says something and puts his entire message, his whole mission, at such a big risk. If what he says does not come true, his entire cause will come to an end. If he had wanted, he wouldn't have gone into this matter at all and wouldn't have risked himself in any way. If he wasn't really receiving revelation, if he was not being informed by Allah and commanded to recite these words, why would he take such a huge risk that would potentially end everything? So, what happens next? After the preparations finish, the Byzantine army sets out and starts advancing. They become so successful that they reclaim their occupied territories and turn their defeat into victory. Now, let's pause here and turn our focus on what was going on at that time between the Muslims and the idol worshippers of Mecca. The Muslims had now migrated to Medina because they were not allowed to practice their religion in Mecca, where they faced torture and oppression. In 624, the Battle of Badr takes place. If you remember, there was a detail in the verses that we mentioned in the beginning. And on that day, the believers will rejoice at the victory willed by Allah. Meaning, when the Byzantines win, the believers will also rejoice with the help of Allah. So there must be another event apart from the victory of the Byzantines. Then what could be the second event? It's of course the victory against the idol worshippers of Mecca. Despite being outnumbered 3 to 1 and being weak in terms of equipment, the Muslims win the Battle of Badr. So it's now the year 624. When were the verses revealed? In the year 616. So these two prophecies take place in the period that Ayah mentions. So now the Muslims...
Okay, so let us get the basic timelines correctly according to this gentleman. He says that the prophet prophesied about this victory of the Byzantines over the Sassanids in the year 616, and the victory happened in 624 AD, along with the victory of the Muslims in the Battle of Badr. So this is the basic timelines. But have he quoted even one instance which tells us that the Prophet prophesied about this thing in 616? As long as he is not quoting the timelines of when he prophesied it, how can we even get it stable? But then the fun is even more interesting. Look at this hadith. And this hadith tells us that in the battle of Badr, when the Muslims got victory, it was then this verse was revealed. That means after because along with the Badr victory, the Romans also, or the Byzantines, had the victory against the Sassanids. And then means after that, the verse was revealed. Isn't it much more interesting? What is the big fat thing? It is just like me sitting here in 2024 and prophesying that in the year 2020 there would be a worldwide epidemic where people will die in the millions, offices will be closed, shops will be closed, governments will be stalled, and many more tragedy will happen. Is that a prophecy? A prophecy, if it has to be a prophecy, it should be declared well ahead in time, not after the event. Anything that happens after the event is called the news. What Muhammad said is the news, but then he camouflaged it almost as a prophecy. But I wouldn't even tell it was Muhammad who did it. It is the Muslims of today, like this gentleman, who is telling that this happened in 616 AD, when in reality Muhammad would have prophesied on 624 or after 624. We don't know. But after the event of the Romans or the Byzantines defeating the Sassanids, he is giving out this prophecy. Is this a prophecy even? This doesn't even qualify as a prophecy. Then how will it work? Now look at these comments. It's filled with Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah, goosebumps, the last religion is Islam, and all those rhetoric words which they keep encouraging themselves. But if you would have noticed, none of these people would have gone and checked about the veracity of the claims this person is making. That is even more astounding to me, because I did not go ahead and refer any big library, unavailable books or anything. All that I did is that go straight to sunnah.com and check for that fact, Badr and Romans, all those things. And I get this kind of hadiths. How is it that the other Muslims are not able to get it? That is even more, shocking, that they do not want to refer back and verify these kinds of claims, because in the heart of hearts, they have this fear that if these claims are wrong, what should I do? How can I face Allah? So they would rather not verify those claims and do that, the flag raising ceremony, and claim that, oh, Allah is great and mashallah and all those kind of words. And this reminds me of the 99-1 rule. David Wood once said that if 99 people can just support this kind of claims, and even that one person who has a doubt in his mind, he will be subdued by the 99. Let me show you this David Wood video so that you can understand what exactly is the 99-1 rule.
If, out of every 100 listeners, 99 mindlessly accept what is said, and only one questions what is said, the 99 can silence the one through pressure, ridicule, intimidation, abuse, or violence. That's been Islam's bread and butter since the year AD 610. So, how do those of us who are now aware of Islam's reliance on the 99-1 rule counteract its use by people like Zakir Naik? Well, we have to recognize the times we're in. Many of us live in countries that protect our right to speak and to question and to challenge and to refute. Islamic leaders are in no position to silence us. Even in countries where Islamic leaders can silence people, people still have internet connections. We can speak and question and challenge and refute in Pakistan, in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, through the power of technology. That gives us a power to counteract Islam's 99-1 rule that no generation before us could have dreamed of. The one may be outnumbered by the 99, but the one can be smarter, wiser, louder, and braver than the 99. And the one now has help all around the world, a fearless, relentless, international squad of free people who know the truth about Muhammad and the Quran. We will not stop until every lie is exposed, every liar is shamed, and 100 out of 100 have heard a clear presentation of the truth. Be the one, or help the one. Back down from none until we've won.
Friends, there are so many prophecies of Muhammad, and there are billions of people who is clapping for his prophecy without even verifying it. But then, if I am going to evaluate each and every prophecy in this episode, it will get another 2 hours longer. But then we will surely do it in another episode. Till then, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Bye.